Hello everybody and welcome back to World of Warships Legends. My name is Spartan Elite 43 and tonight we are back in Vermont and it's not even a carrier game. What on earth is the world coming to? We can't have that. At Legendary tier? Come on now. Also, I've got a game that I think epitomizes this update. Would you guys like to see that? It's the worst game of World of Warships Legends I have ever played. That's saying something, by the way. But no, I mean, worst gaming experience that I've ever had playing World of Warships Legends. And that's also saying something, because I've had some good ones. But I do want to know, is it something you guys would be interested in? I promise you, you'll probably laugh at just how stupidly bad that game was for me. But that's all I'm saying. Anywho, we're on Two Brothers, and we're in the Vermont. And, again, no carriers. We have two destroyers. All we got to do is get some spotting, right? Right. So, the destroyer on my side moves forward, decides to go behind the island, which is neither here nor there. I'd prefer him, like, spot, but he is going to spot something initially, which is going to be a Pommern. He dumps his torpedoes because reasons. But he's going to spot a Pommern. I'm going to elect not to shoot the Pommern right away because I was hoping Pommern would maybe, I don't know, turn. But nope. Destroyer goes behind the island. I lose contact on the Pommern. And the destroyer is going to sail directly into the enemy destroyer, which just happens to be either a Z-52 or a Lachune. Now, what do we know about the Z-52 and the Lachune? What do they have in common? They both have extended range sonars that are absolutely busted at killing other destroyers. Right? Well, this poor little sap in front of me didn't get the memo. This is why it's important to know what you're up against, folks. It's pretty straightforward and simple. If you're in a destroyer and you're going out on a flank, and you get into a gunfight with a destroyer that has the ability to hunt you down and murder you while you hide in your smoke, probably not a good idea to sit in your smoke. And if you don't know this, you will be caught off guard, like this guy. But here we finally decide to shoot at the Pommern, and we break two turrets on our first shot against him, and he did a decent amount of damage, actually, surprisingly. But Lachune pushes in. This guy immediately does exactly what every destroyer tries to do when they get caught because they don't understand that they need to try to get away from a Lachune rather than hide from a Lachune. Now he calls for help, says, "I need help," and then beaches himself in a smokescreen, and the Lachune is probably salivating. Lachune goes behind the island. Now I know this because, wait for it, I'm no longer spotted, meaning he went behind the island. Shocker. Now, this poor little sucker is going to sit in his smokescreen thinking he's all that in a bag of chips and that he's safe. He's trying to reverse. You can see the torps coming. I already know they're coming, right? We're not dumb. And, of course, Lachune comes around the corner. I don't see him at first because I'm too busy trying to shoot at the Pommern. But, yep, as you can see, Lachune comes around the corner and is already shooting at our destroyer who's sitting in a smokescreen. We once again knock out the turret of the Pommern, and you'll notice that I don't have any support here. Our destroyer has lost all of his health, but to his credit is still alive, somehow. I credit that more to the ineptitude of that Lachune, but yeah, unfortunately we are going to take one of these torpedoes. Just a random one torp from a wide spread that just caught me off guard. I dodged all the other ones, but you can't dodge them all if they're just going to get to launch them whenever. You do a pretty good job predicting where the enemy torpedoes are going to come from, and you can dodge them that way. But there's only so much you can do if they get, you know, a good drop, right? You take a torp, no big deal. Unfortunately, it does cause me to damage control, and now I'm turned broadside in front of the Pommern again, and he gets another good salvo. He's also got his secondaries going, which causes a fire. And we are starting to realize that I'm not necessarily afraid that we're going to lose this one, but it's one of those where our entire team is kind of grouped up. Now, you'll notice there's a couple of people in the middle. We know that it's the Z-52 because the other destroyer is out here, the Lechun. We know that it's a GK in the center. Now Pommern turns to run, is fully broadside. We are waiting for our guns to get on target, and we are going to finish him off, which is going to give us increased damage for the rest of the match because we have the legendary artillery plotting room mod on, so every kill we get gives us a little bit more damage. Now I know those torps aren't meant for me because that guy was 9 kilometers away. And the GK has his sonar running, most likely, which is how they're spotted in the first place. But yeah, no chance that those torps were going to hit anything. Now you can see this GK that's in the center was actually on my team in the last match, and that was a pretty awful gaming experience. But he did similarly on that map where he just kind of parked himself behind an island and sat there the entire game, and that's pretty much what he's going to do here. Now, I don't know if he gets some shots on people early, but I see this freaking Carl back here in the back, and I'm not going to lie, I was salivating a little bit, but he decides to turn and kite. Like, what are you doing in the Carl? It is not a sniping ship, but if he'd have charged in, probably would have ended poorly for him as well. Now, Lechun decides to be an aggressive little turd. He comes in and ends up smoking up in front of us. We fire the front guns, fire the rear guns, expecting him to reverse a little bit. You know, that makes sense, right? He's slowing down to get in his smoke screen. He wants to use his guns. I hit him with 3 shells from the front guns. The rear turret's completely missed. So he didn't slow down, or he didn't go in reverse. He had to have drifted forward. Unfortunate, but it is a thing. Now, torpedoes going in once again on the GK, and swing and a miss, and they're out of range. Now, paying attention to what's going on the other side, I have doubled back. I have put myself in a position to help my team. Now, out of the 2 targets that are here, there is a battleship that's being focused pretty heavily by all the cruisers, and then there's the Des Moines sitting there waiting to yeet people that are in cruisers. So I choose to shoot at the Des Moines. Expecting that I would be able to overmatch and punish this man for sitting still. Now, he did start a reverse, which probably saves his life in the end of the battle here, but it's not going to save him for very long because, again, there's a lot of stuff here to shoot him. And so we're not the only one shooting at him, but we took a nice chunk off of him. So far, we've had a pretty boring game. I think we can all agree. There's not much I can do if I'm going to be countered by a destroyer and multiple pushing battleships on one side by myself. Like, there's nothing I can do about that. So sometimes you got to turn and kite. Is it fun? No. Does it mean that you can't have a great game? Absolutely not. Now, Colombo gets spotted here because he gets radared in his smoke screen by our cruisers. Interesting use of the cruiser's radar to spot a battleship, but, you know, I'm not going to look a gift horse in the mouth. I'm just going to punch him in the face. And so, there you go. Now he's very low, he should be an easy kill, and that will wrap up that right flank. There's only 1 ship left out on the right flank, and that is a Stalingrad. Now the Carl, again, has been extremely, I would say patient, but I don't know if that's the word for it. He's been very passive in the Carl. And the Carl, it's not a great ship unless it's like, I don't know. It's such a weird ship. It really is. It's definitely not in its element sniping. I will say that. Okay, let's just all say that right now. Like, even if it doesn't have a great commander for brawling, it's still not a great ship for sniping. And so, playing it this passively probably not going to end in your favor, especially when you had a Pommern pushing up aggressively, you have a Lechun that absolutely neutered our destroyer. You could have been in a good position to do some really good things. And then that would have put a lot of pressure on our team from all the flanks, plus the people in the middle. But because they didn't do that, we were able to focus 1 person down at a time, and now suddenly the firepower advantage is starting to shift in our favor. And there's also 1 more person on that flank that is yet to show himself, and we'll see him in a little bit. But Stalingrad starts pushing in. He's going to get focused pretty hard by all of the cruisers. And again, Stalingrad's very tanky, but against that much DPM, there's not much he can do about it. I would imagine there's going to be a lot of HE spam. Now, I was worried sitting broadside to the Stalingrad because it's hard for a Stalingrad to turn down shooting at a broadside battleship because you can easily citadel most battleships at ridiculous ranges, and Vermont is no exception with its ridiculous freaking citadel too. But we slap the Karl's superstructure, and we start to move towards a good position, relying on my teammates to deal with the Stalingrad, and that's when our ultimate prize shows up. He shoots AP too, so I gotta give him credit. However, if you're in a Marlborough, and you're spotted, and you're sailing broadside to any battleship or supercruiser, probably shouldn't do that. You should probably change what you're doing. But he gets absolutely clapped, and we get 2 citadels. And, of course, he's going to use that heal, and that's fine with me, because I know darn well I'm going to take pretty much everything that this man has on my next shot, because he doesn't get away with it twice. Right, game? I can understand him getting away with it once, because he was slowing down. Now he's speeding up. We've caught him off guard again. We've got the rear turrets out. Front turrets are going to go out. And... wait for it. Bonk. And... bonk. Hello? There we go. There's our death strike. Oh no, we didn't get the death strike! That's sadness, we didn't get the kill! How? Now, we know that that destroyer's been in there with the GK this whole time, right? There's a smoke screen there, he murdered our destroyers. It's pretty straightforward and simple to know that the torpedoes are coming. So what do? We double back. It's that simple. You don't wait to see the torpedoes, battleships, okay? You anticipate where they're coming from, you turn. It's that simple. It really is. Even in a ship as slow as the Vermont, I can dodge torpedoes from relatively close range. Our Colbert manages to get himself into a good position to counter the destroyer who tried to get greedy and torp the big, fat, slow battleship. And that's the end of the destroyer. Now, there's still 1 destroyer left, and he's out on the flank. Fortunately, we have a cruiser that has a radar, and he's going to be in perfect position to counter that destroyer. And so what do? Do I bother going for the destroyer? No. I let the cruisers do what cruisers are going to do, and then I focus on going for the battleship. There's very little time left. We've got less than 4 minutes. The GK is in a position. Colbert gets the guy spotted. We're going to go ahead and aim for superstructure because he's kind of just sitting there. Colbert gets himself smashed and almost got himself killed. He's got very little health left, and that'll bite him in the butt in a little bit. But we get a good shot into the superstructure of the GK. As you can see, there's no hit points left on that poor Colbert. But again, I mean, you knew the battleship was in there, so you got to be careful. Colbert is another one of those like the Mino that if you just get caught, you're done. It's not one of those ships where you get away with a lot, you know what I mean? It's pretty much guaranteed death strike if you get caught by a battleship. But GK, again, just as I'm about to take the shot, we've got the spotter plane up, ready to aim. I'm looking, and there we go. We get the shot, and he disappears. And then I end up shooting, and then, of course, he reappears. And then all of my shells actually still managed to hit him because it wasn't too bad. It wasn't the best aimed shot in the world. We only managed to hit him with a few shells, but still, did everything we could. And somehow we've managed to turn this game, probably mostly thanks to the Marlborough, into a game where we've got 196,000 damage, and the destroyer is trying to shoot me. Now, usually that means that there are torpedoes on the way, right? No exception here. There's also torpedoes on the way, but again, I've been changing what I'm doing. And so he ends up missing his torpedoes, if they were intended for me, which I assume they are, since he was shooting at me. But he sits in a smoke screen, and he's going to get caught out by our radar. And you can see pretty soon that's what's going to happen to him. He is going to, in his credit, he's going to take down that Colbert, which is kind of embarrassing. But Colbert didn't have much health, so we'll give him a little bit of credit. But we get spotted. That means he's coming out of his smoke screen, activates the radar from the Worcester, and that is going to be the end of that Le Chun. Getting caught that close to a Worcester with a radar and a Colbert is death. I don't care how good you are. He takes the Colbert with him, and the Worcester manages to finish him off. And that leaves just the GK. Now, we know this GK is not that healthy, so we should be able to get in here and break the 200k damage barrier. The goal is simple. Don't get rammed, right? That was pretty much what I was hoping for. So we're trying to steer clear of the edge of this thing because I want to spot him, and there it is. Like, he's coming full speed ahead. He knows we're here. We aim into the superstructure. We slap the superstructure. The other teammate behind me slaps his superstructure. And then, of course, we're going to, now that he's already fired, open up the angle, get the rear turrets on board, and then shoot the superstructure one more time to finish him off. To make sure that nobody gets away. So, pretty solid game. Wasn't much like craziness going on. It was just a very like methodical, like paying attention to what's around you game. And I thought you guys would be fun seeing this. 2,463 base XP. Shout out to the Worcester, the Colbert, and yeah. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. This is the second time in the Vermont I've managed to break 200K, so I'm starting to do better in the Vermont. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. And if you like what I'm doing, punch the like button, leave a comment below, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and as always, I will see you in the next video.